Welcome to the ATP Project. You're with your hosts, Jeff and Steve. Steve,
Yep.
Your questions answered.
I know, true or false,
We've got some
grey.
so the guys have gone out to the tribe and out to the greater group. And look, guys, if you've got a question if you're watching on YouTube, you lucky people getting to look at Steve and I. Go down and pop a comment into the into the comment section, and while you're there, please hit the like button.
Yep.
and the subscribe and the dinging thing down here. And if you're listening on podcast and you're wondering about where I'm pointing to, talking about dinging stuff, don't worry about it. But jump onto our socials as well too, our Facebook page, and ask questions, because what we're finding is we're getting some brilliant questions coming through from our audience. So we want to hear from you. We want to know what's important to you. We want to help debunk the myths.
Yes.
One of the catchphrases of our show, Steve, and of our life and everything that I believe is question everything. And so long as it's done in love and with respect. Steve, you're an atheist. I'm never going to agree with you. You're probably never going to agree with me, unfortunately, being a creationist,
Maybe
being a Christian.
There's evidence.
Well, absolutely, and that's right, right? But and I respect people who are Muslim, people who are whatever. I respect their right to believe whatever they want.
Sure.
And you know what? If they choose not to believe the same as me, that's fine. That's fine. And let's be friends. And let's treat one another with love.
Exactly.
The problem is now is that you've just got people going crazy. You say something that they don't believe in, and it's like, oof, through the next level.
Ministry of Truth.
We've got questions today. We've got a few, and I know you've done a deep dive into some of these questions, but we're going to do more Q&A type stuff as well too. And it's funny because we've got Asking for a Friend Volume 2 coming out. Some of those, and look, it's right up there. And I guess I appreciate it's not for everyone.
No.
And if you haven't listened to it and you don't mind a bit of for some people, cringe. I love it, Steve, because at the end of the day, we're helping people with serious health concerns and problems. It's like that show, where they have the doctor where they've got these really weird diseases and funguses and all the rest of it. At the end of the day, we're helping people, right?
That's exactly.
Which is, what we're here for.
I remember the first question of the last one was an interesting one. I can't even repeat it.
No, not on this podcast,
not
because
on this
we
podcast.
gave that other podcast a big warning. But it's so popular, we're going to do it again. And talking about popular, Steve.
Yes.
We have to thank all of you listeners out there. Now, we're not very popular on YouTube, and that's, Steve, it's pretty obvious because we're not the best looking thing, and Matt probably needs to put up more graphics and more exciting cuts and stuff like that.
Guys and girls.
No, unfortunately, no. Especially when I started wearing glasses, I just recognised how far I've come. But what I was going to say is that you have made us number one again in the health podcast space, and we just want to say thank you so much for listening to us and for giving your time. And we want to give back. And so we've had people asking for more Q&As, which we've got today.
Yes, exactly.
Anyway, we say question everything. And do not stop questioning. You don't have to believe everything that I'm pushing. Steve, we don't always agree, right? But at the same time, and this is the thing, guys, if people say to you, this is the truth, don't question it, question it.
Yes.
Always question it.
Always question it.
Anyway, Steve, we're going to get into our first question.
Well, we got about it was half a dozen from Beck, but they're more than just 6 questions, and they're not true or false. They're very grey, a lot of these.
Okay.
Very grey. So it's like, I remember when you sat there and you said, 6 questions, that's what we've got to say. You could do a podcast.
You can do a deep dive, and that's what I'm saying, Steve. We're going to do a deep dive into these questions, or a deeper dive than maybe what I thought was a yes or no answer.
Yeah.
Right. So in terms of fasted cardio, Steve, and it's funny because we've obviously got our 12-week challenge, and we're going to be doing a little sort of call out to the tribies and a special sort of behind the scenes sort of a thing. But I was just looking at some other personal trainers out there, and look. One size does not fit all. But if you can find something that you can wear that makes sense to you, then go ahead and do it. One of these personal trainers I was listening to goes, don't believe the rubbish in fasted cardio. You don't want to hear fasted cardio. So she had obviously taken a real bent against it. Sure. And that's fine, obviously, if she's found a system that works and all the rest of it. But Steve, the question is, fasted cardio, do you burn more fat?
The answer,
yes or no?
Yes, you do.
Right.
Now, where's that coming from? Where did I get it? British Journal of Nutrition. It's a systemic review and meta-analysis.
Yep.
And I'll just read the conclusion. So, here's the paper, and it's called The Effects of Anaerobic Exercise Performed in Fasted versus Fed State on Fat and Carbohydrate Metabolism in Adults, a Systemic Review and Meta-Analysis, just the title.
Yep.
And basically we conclude that aerobic exercise performed in the fasted state induces higher fat oxidation than exercise performed in the fed state.
Okay.
So Absolutely. Okay, you burn more fat,
Sure.
but this personal trainer may not want to burn fat. Maybe they want to build muscle.
No, this person was talking about fat loss, optimal
Okay.
fat loss, and saying that fasted cardio was a myth.
Well, according to the British Journal of Nutrition,
According to science, mind you, I'm always wary of that because people go, well, according to science, you know, the Earth is flat. It's like, you know, you can prove anything really using science and talk if you want. But look, Steve, I think our conclusion is, and certainly I've been in the industry for over 20 years. I used to run 12-week challenge back in 2002, 2003, 2004. I had my own through my own gym, through my own supplement store. And certainly I used to use it. Now, that's anecdotal, and people used to get great results, and it was certainly one of the first things that I recommended. So the question is, with regards to fasted cardio, are you only increasing the amount of fat that you're burning during exercise? Does it have an afterburn effect? Does it stop once you consume food? Does it stop when you consume carbohydrates? Does it stop when insulin is released? And can you enhance fasted cardio through using supplementation, things like acetyl L-carnitine, and again, I've said this before, and I'm a big believer in it, by actually upregulating the body's ability to burn fat by priming the oral cavity.
Yes,
you know,
I know what you mean.
With fat. Which effectively is, and again, I've said it before on numerous podcasts, and you can look this up yourself as well too. But Poliquin, you know, who's passed on now, unfortunately, put out a really interesting article, thesis, idea, which was that, and again, I'd have to go back and actually have a look at what he said, but he believed, and I think he proved, certainly there was a hypothesis there at the very least, that by taking the first thing into your mouth is effectively the primary source, or upregulates the body's ability to use that as fuel. So if you're using carbohydrates, which is blood glucose and sugars and things like that, then your body primarily will be looking to burn that for fuel. And there's always that sticking point when the body converts over from using blood glucose to using fat. We see it with ketogenic diets. Some people convert quite quickly, and other people have got brain fog, and the body's just like, it keeps going back to that tank that's empty, and there's this huge reservoir of energy and power right there. But for some reason, some people click over real quick. Other people, like Tony, for example, she was doing keto for 3 weeks, and it just... Whereas I'm like 2 weeks, and I'm, you know, I had a bit of brain fog for a period of time. It's funny, isn't it? Why is that, Steve?
It's tough, and it's to do with the level of insulin resistance you've got in your body. So some people are typically more resistant to insulin, so insulin doesn't work as well. So therefore, the body would typically pump a little bit more out. No big drama, but the insulin coming out there stops that carnitine burning, the carnitine-palmitoyl transferase. Because insulin upregulates melanyl-CoA.
Right.
Which is like we'll call it MEL, that'll let sugar into the cells. And the carnitine-palmitoyl transferase one, lets fats in.
Right.
So you can take acetyl L-carnitine before you exercise and you'll burn more fat. We've done podcasts on that galore. There's lots of herbs that do that correctly. Fat's correct. CLA is the best type of fat for burning fat. And there are other fats as well. MCTs, medium-chain triglycerides, are unlikely to form fats on your body. They'll typically be burnt, so they'll upregulate fat burning as well. So there's lots of tricks you can do. Now, I'm going to talk about that personal trainer about doing cardio on a fed state.
Right.
There is an advantage to that.
Okay.
And the papers are... And I'll
really?
There is an advantage.
Okay.
But it's not to do with fat loss.
Is it to do with energy?
Yes.
Okay.
So basically, if you on performance, now this is effects of fasted versus fed state exercise on performance and post-exercise metabolism, a system review and meta-analysis. Now, if you eat before you exercise, your metabolism will be a little bit slower.
Sure.
Okay, but your performance during the exercise will be better.
So if you're running a marathon or 1,500 and you want to get the best time, make sure you've got glucose, carbohydrates, glycogen. Make sure you've got food, right?
And particularly carbohydrates.
What about the afterburn effect of that, Steve? If you were able to put in a high percentage of effort through a fed state, but you're still watching the types of foods that you're eating versus fasted cardio where you might be at, say, 80% of your max, would that catch up to the amount of fat that you would lose because of the afterburn, because you've trained harder? Yeah,
if you train harder and longer, it will catch up and surpass it. And this is where the trick is. What we're talking about is cardio based on, in the studies, they only variable for one thing. So let's say you're doing an hour of cardio.
No thanks.
Yeah. or half an hour, whatever it is.
It's too long.
Whatever, as long as it's the same for a fed state or a fasted state, you will burn more fat on a fasted state.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about performance, like how far you can run in 30 minutes, which is a little bit irrelevant for most people, unless you're in a race.
Yeah, sure.
It's a little bit irrelevant how far you run if you're trying to burn body fat, but you will run further on 30 minutes if you're fed. So you see what I'm saying? So there is an advantage with feeding if you... Like when I did the marathon a few years ago now, I mean, I got up about 2 hours before the event and I ate. It started at 6:20, so I got up at 4:20.
What did you eat, Steve?
I just had some weird bread that I have, and lots of fats on it.
Your high gluten bread.
Yeah.
It's so strange,
the
Steve.
weird stuff.
Because what about zollulins? I always wanted to ask you about that because, I mean, whether you're gluten intolerant or not, you've still got zollulins, right? So, and that can cause inflammation.
It can, and if it affects you like that, then certainly it doesn't affect me
Doesn't
with
affect
inflammation.
you?
No, it doesn't.
Everyone's different, right?
It does. It's a bit weird. So, like there's some things that...
Whereas if I gave that bread to my son, who's borderline celiac.
Yeah.
Like he would be doubled over, literally, and he'd be on the toilet for most of the day.
And it's funny because I give him those brownies.
Yeah.
That I give to...
Gluten-free brownies.
Yeah, they're gluten-free. But if I give that to, I won't mention her name, another staff member, she'll be double over.
Right.
Because she can't tolerate the types of fibre in
The
there.
microbiome is just incredible, isn't it?
It's incredible.
It's like your fingerprint, and everybody's different. And again, I feel as well too, Steve, that the microbiome is becoming more diverse in the population, with some people eating more natural, some people eating GMO food, some people, the amount of pesticides and herbicides and other compounds that are in. There's 110 chemicals. I forget what it was, right? There's hundreds and hundreds of chemicals that 100 years ago we didn't have to even worry about. Think about herbicides, pesticides, stuff in the water table,
way more than
airborne material. I mean, like plastics. I mean, just we're surrounded, right? And we ingest all of this, and this all has an impact on our gut bacteria, and so we are so different.
Oh yeah, and what I find very interesting is that the things that were, you talk about plastics like bisphenol A, that was considered safe.
All right.
And then it's like, oh no, hang on, that's dangerous.
Yeah, right.
The glyphosate, that was considered safe.
Oh, and didn't they get a lawsuit and a half?
Well, they did.
We were banging on. Do you remember the study, Steve, where we overlaid some disease states based on Monsanto use as well too, and they correlation and causation, but still, I mean, like sometimes if it smells like a duck and it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it probably is a duck. I don't know if you smell ducks, but I don't think that's part of this. I'm making up my own saying.
But you got to remember, like glyphosate, all it does in plants is inhibits the production of their essential amino acids. Okay, now we don't make essential amino acids, so that pathway, it's called the chitamine pathway or something terrible like that. It's in plants.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. And so because that pathway is not in humans, it has no effect on humans. This was a theory. Or animals, because we have to ingest our essential amino acids. The plants can make essential amino acids. We can't make them. So that pathway in plants, it kills the plants. But for humans, it has no effect. This was the theory, because we don't have that pathway. And now we know it has effects on other areas, of course. But that was the reason why it was considered safe for humans.
Yeah. I think when we look back, the Roundup will be considered and spoken about in the same circles as Agent Orange.
Yeah, and DDT and all that.
Yeah.
There's so many chemicals that were banned.
Yeah.
I was working in a lab with DDT, in the late 80s when I was doing my chemistry qualifications, and we were testing for DDT.
But we don't want spots on our apples, Steve.
Nope. Don't want that. Every single beef sample I tested.
Every single beef?
Because we took the fat from... Because it found its way from the plant to the animal.
Of course.
And then we ingest the animal, because it doesn't break down. It takes years to break down.
See, the vegans have got you there, Steve. You shouldn't be eating animals, right?
No, but it's on the plants as well.
No. That argument is making sense. And I'm telling you that feelings are more important than facts, Steve.
That's right. The facts don't care about the feelings.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's true. So look, that's the fasting and that sort of thing. So do you burn more fat? Yes, fasted.
Yep.
But there are reasons why you may want to eat before you go for your run.
Okay.
It's not for fat burning.
But if we want to burn fat, Steve, short answer.
Run without eating.
Yeah, run or exercise or cycle or devil's tricycle or skip or...
Anything. And it makes a little bit of sense, because you're not eating, your body's run out of fuel in your stomach, so it's got to get it from your butt. And that's what it does.
Or your gut.
Yeah. Yeah, so it doesn't...
Or your tuck shop lady arms.
Yeah, whatever. It just grabs...
Saddlebags.
Yeah.
Banana rolls.
And you can't do spot fat reduction unless you use special creams.
Unless you use something that goes through the skin, subcutaneous, which is usually liver. If only there was something like that.
I wish. So that's an interesting one, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Okay, good one.
Yeah, it's a good one,
So that's a good question. All right, Steve, this is time for a insert.
From our sponsor.
I'll give you an insert, sir. Immune RX. In the Southern Hemisphere, we're coming into winter. And look, one of the beautiful things that we know that nature knows best. We know that there's some answers out there. Some of the things that we really highly recommend that you do for your immune system is to take things like zinc, which increase the immune function within the body by 200%, Steve.
Yep.
And look, people are worried about coughs and colds and flus and downtimes and all the rest of it. And so this segment, if you like, is brought to you by Immune RX.
Yes.
Now, Steve, what's in Immune RX?
Well, the name gives it away a bit. It's fantastic for the immune system. It really supports the immune system health tremendously.
And it supports immune system health. I'm reading here because we have to be very careful, Steve. It reduces free radicals formed in the body as well too. So the other thing is a powerful antioxidant as well too.
Yeah.
But the ingredients, and it was designed again specifically to help with your immune system. To support the healthy immune system. Isn't this funny? Like, we've got to be very careful about what we say, right? So in there we've got some amazing ingredients, Steve, but the one that always comes out to me is Artemisia annua, which is also known as Chinese wormwood. It's been used for a long time, and is a very interesting and very cool herb, and is part of the Immune RX suite of ingredients designed to support a healthy immune system.
Yes. You're saying.
So anyway, coming into winter, if these sorts of things are a concern, check that product out. Have a look if it's right for you. Grab some. We've got some deals on that at the moment with our retailers, and also direct on our website as well too.
And it's the old resilience replacement.
That's exactly right. So if you used to use Resilience, it's now a new and updated formula called Immune RX. All right.
Get into it.
All right, that was definitely a lot longer than I thought it would take. Okay, all right.
Well,
here's one. Now, this is one I reckon my mum wrote in and asked, because this was huge back in the 70s and 80s, which is, does lemon water help with digestion? Now, also, they used to say, does it help with detoxification? Yeah. Obviously, it's slightly acidic. So, I remember there was a lot of people sucking down so much lemon juice that they actually rotted their teeth.
It does.
Because you have to be careful with regards to that. But does... And I'll ask a follow-up question as well too.
Yeah.
Does lemon water help with digestion? And does apple cider help with digestion?
Oh, I've got two of those. Yeah, okay. So
let's go with lemon first.
Okay, lemon, it actually hinders digestion.
Wow.
I know. I've got a paper.
Okay.
It's published in the European Journal of Nutrition, and the title is, it's 2020, lemon juice but not tea reduces the glycemic response to bread in healthy volunteers in a randomised controlled trial.
It reduces the glycemic response.
It destroys the enzymes that break down bread.
Wow.
Amylase, if you want to be specific.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, there's a great graph that's going to be put up on the screen for those YouTube watchers here from this particular paper. It's from the title, which shows you the graphical response to the amount of blood sugar. So it blunts the amount of food you eat that doesn't get into your system. Now, they use white bread as an example.
Yeah.
But it's amylase, so any carbohydrates, and you will digest less carbohydrates if you have lemon juice before you eat the... so if you have lemon juice and you have your peanut butter on toast...
You don't digest it as well.
Correct.
But does that mean that it passes through and that you extract less calories out of it, so therefore you'd actually lose weight?
Less calories, more dysbiosis.
Right, which is bad. Less calories good. Dysbiosis bad.
So it depends on what you.
So explain dysbiosis, Steve.
Dysbiosis is when excessive carbohydrate just reaches the large bowel.
Yep.
Because you're not digesting it; it's going through you.
Yep.
And it's feeding the bad bacteria there because carbohydrates down there are not real good.
No.
They should be absorbed before then.
Yep.
And if you eat a lot of carbohydrates,
Yeah.
it can escape digestion because you only digest so much. And so if you're having a big bowl of cereal every morning, say, then some of that's going to find its way to the bowel and you're going to get dysbiosis. So, that good old morning wheat bix, and you'll grow bad bacteria like Klebsiella. And guess what I was eating when I had my arthritis and Klebsiella? I was having 8 wheat bix every morning.
Oh, Shane Warne does, mate.
You used to.
Oh, no. Who was the other cricketer?
Brett Lee.
Brett Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he did. And so that can cause dysbiosis. So you might be thinking, and I remember I was talking to somebody, I won't mention anyone's name downstairs, and they said, "Oh, that's good. I'll have lemon juice before I eat my bread in the morning."
Steve, I guarantee you that probably a large percentage of our listeners are going, less calories, more weight loss.
Yeah.
I'm doing it.
Yeah.
You'll have no teeth. But and you'll also have like your flatulence, farting, a high level of firmicutes in your gut, which again you don't want.
No.
Not good.
Not good. And here's the response I had to her, and I said, "Well, why are you eating the bad bread anyway? I'm going to do something bad, so I've got to do something else to counteract the bad thing."
That reminds me of Chitosan.
Yeah,
and there was a drug called Xenical as well too, which was positively charged. Is that negative or positive?
Well, it's neutral, but so this absorbs it, like the chitosan absorbs it into it.
I thought it had a negative or positive charge, and then the fat was slightly negative or positive, and it would suck it to it.
Fatty acids have positive charges.
Okay.
Because they're...
But we need them.
They're acids, yeah. Fats are not bad for you to ingest. You need them.
No, but I'm talking about people going, "All right, I'm going to suck down a pizza, so I'm going to have some carb. I'm going to have some... What was it?
Well, Xenical...
Hang on. Phazolamine, which is from a bean. Right, there used to be this thing called phazolamine.
Yeah, that's right.
Which was a carb blocker.
Yeah.
And then you take that with Xenical, so you can go out and eat a fatty carbohydrate pizza.
Yeah.
And guilt free.
Yes.
Well, no.
To me, it doesn't make. It's bad medicine.
Well, I mean, again, with the Xenical, if you wore nappies because you get leakage.
You did get they call it seepage technically. I don't know if you can say that.
The same thing, right? Yes, well, you'd get it leaking out your butt.
Well, because your rectum only goes so tight, and oil, if it's warmed up in your colon, can seep out. So you used to get anal seepage. But they used to have pads that you could sell with it, so the effects were minimised.
Titillating me up and take me to Pizza Hut.
There are people who are desperate for weight loss, and they do stupid things.
And that's the thing, right, is that I think, again, we've got to... what do they say? There's no free lunch, especially if you. Yes, I mean, so you've just got to pay the piper somewhere.
You do.
And look, you can be smart about it, and you can have a smaller piper that you pay.
Yes.
But there's always some trade-off. And again, this is where we say nature knows best. I mean, yes, you can do things to enhance, to maximise, to get the best results.
Yep.
But there's always some cost somewhere.
I know, and in this study, the lemon juice one, was they tried it with water and tea as well.
Right.
So, and what they found was when you drop the pH, which is the acid component, it inhibits amylase. So if you have a high acidic thing with a high carbohydrate, not like if you have fruits naturally, like if you eat a lemon, good luck. But if you do, or an orange even,
sure,
it's not as bad for you because it inhibits the amylase and the healthy fibre gets through to the bowel. Yep. And that's fine. It's actually good for you to do that.
And that's the soluble fibre?
Soluble fibre.
Yeah.
So, but what they did in this one, just to test it, was they gave them a shitty carbohydrate, bread, and they gave them the lemon juice.
Is that a scientific technical term? Is it, Steve?
Yeah, it's a shitty carbohydrate.
Steve, you're so crass.
High GI, high GL.
Right.
There we go.
Okay, thank you.
So one that just turns into sugar very quickly in the body.
Okay.
At a rate of about 100, which is what its GI is, the rate at which it turns into sugar.
Yeah.
So they gave them a bad one. The tea did nothing, the water did nothing, but the lemon juice did.
Wow.
And inhibits amylase because of the acid.
Well, interesting.
Well, it is interesting, and you've got to be sort of that. That's another reason why eating fruits and vegetables in their natural form with natural acids.
That's it.
It's actually good for
it. And again, nature knows fresh and local without the chemicals on it, without the Monsanto and all. If you can get that, eat them. And this is something as well too, Steve. We're even sort of working with our dietitians and our personal trainers at the moment to help people with their weight loss journey. And we say, eat fruit.
Yes.
I mean, obviously you want to apples and fruit with the skin on it, and the fiber and the pectin, and you know, all these wonderful, amazing vitamins and nutrients and minerals and what have you. It's good for you. And yes, you don't want to be sucking down the genetically modified grapes that they make now with the thin skins and the no seeds. But if you can go back to more of that natural kind of things, and we do overeat as well too, and we don't want to overeat anything, including fruit. But it should be for a healthy bowel, for a healthy gut. You know, an apple a day keeps the doctor, as they say. I mean, but you know, any fruit is good as in moderation, and especially even your really sweet fruits like your mangoes and your grapes and things like that are fine in moderation. You know what I mean? So,
and I want to dive a little bit deeper on this one. Do you remember how people count calories? Well, this will screw with it.
Why?
Because you're not absorbing them.
That's right.
So you're eating them, but you're not absorbing them. So when do you count a calorie? It's when you absorb them, correct? So this is going to pass through you. So all these, if it fits your macros, again, it's another problem with that theory. But
it takes no consideration, as you say, Steve, for your gut microbiome, which obviously is going to have systemic effects down the road, which you don't want.
Exactly.
So, Steve, what about then the lemon detox diet? Because that's another one that my mum used to rabbit on about before I got interested in the industry. It's kind of similar.
All right, well, it is. We've got a paper here on the juicing detoxes.
Yeah.
And I just
that's a bit different. And I'm keen to talk about that because there's a good friend of mine watched a documentary, and we'll get into that in a minute. Yeah. All right. Okay.
Look, lemon and those sort of things do contain a little bit of nanogenin in it. And that's, sorry.
How do you say it?
Nanogenin.
I thought it was naringenin.
It could be.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just, you know, you're the scientist, Steve.
No, I just saying it.
I'm just the model.
No. For those videos.
Yeah.
But basically that inhibits...
Everyone's rushing to YouTube right now just to check it out. Of course
they are.
Yeah.
Now there's two parts of detoxification in the body. There's phase 1 in the liver and phase 2 in the liver. Now there's many pathways to detoxification. Think of pooping and peeing and sweating and breathing and all these, they're pathways out. So detox itself, with lemon detox, the theory was that lemon somehow speeds up these pathways. It doesn't really.
Right.
It slows down one, the 3A4 enzyme.
Okay.
The nanogen in it, the naringin in it, that one actually is slowed down.
Yeah.
So
doesn't that preserve the half-life of caffeine?
It preserves the half-life of lots of drugs.
Right.
Including probably 60% of them.
Yeah.
Famously, it reduced the half-life of Viagra. So if you want more out of your Viagra, Jeff, you can...
You know, I only used it once.
Really?
And I didn't get any.
You didn't get any? Well,
no.
What did you do?
I popped it and it was the wrong timing, and it was,
Because you got to time it.
Both parties have to be willing, Steve.
They do, and they have to be willing about 1 to 2 hours in advance, because that's the... when it's...
I don't know.
We've said it. We'll see how it goes.
I'll take my 5 wood out onto the fairway. You know, it's like...
Mine's only a 4 wood.
Not surprised, Steve. But yes, I think in terms of
So
anyway,
lemon juice.
How do we get onto this?
I don't know.
Your mind always goes there,
So
Steve.
lemon juice detoxing is
how do we go from lemon juice to Viagra, Steve? Only you could do that.
Anyway, it inhibits the enzyme that detoxes.
Okay.
So we've got to screw up. So lemon detoxing is doesn't really work, but lemon does contain good things for your body too, like D-limonene, and that's very good for all sorts of other. So lemon's healthy for you, but it doesn't really help with detox. Think of it: does it help you poo? Does it help you sweat? Does it help you breathe harder? It gets rid of stuff. It doesn't.
Well, this brings me to the next one, which is probably timely, Steve, because I was thinking you need to go and take a cold shower.
Okay.
Just calm down a little bit. Have you ever heard that? I think that was the they used to say, like, to nuns and all that. So they'd say, "Go take a cold shower," right? Like, does that work?
It does. For what we were just talking about, which we can't mention. Yes,
to get rid of the 5 wood.
Yeah, because the 5 wood, the 4 wood, depending on how big you are.
I actually call mine the 1 wood, Steve. It's more of a driver. Sorry. Anyway, keep going.
Okay, so if you think about cold, if you've got cold on you, and we'll call them the extremities.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
The way that if you're exposed to cold, it shuts down blood to the extremities.
Right.
Okay?
So it does work.
It does work for
Does it take away the desire, though?
Oh, well...
I guess if you're sitting there freezing, it would probably be like, go take a cold shower.
I can speak from personal experience.
Right, well, I'm going to, when I get home, I'm going to tell Tony to go take a cold shower. Said no man ever. But anyway, what I was going to say is cold shower in the morning. So I don't think that's what they're asking for.
They're not asking about
So you wake up in the morning and you're like, Right.
It's really interesting research on cold showers.
Okay, but I think the person is not about sexual inhibition.
No.
I think they're asking about growth hormone, circulation, fat loss. And I see a lot of guys on YouTube doing it at the moment. I took a cold shower every day for 30 days, and this is what happened, right? But Steve, what's the lowdown?
It helps your immune system. That was the first thing in the research.
You know, my dad.
Yeah.
Every morning, and he used to have a cold shower. Now this is not one of these wussy cold showers that we have here in Brisbane. Where even in the middle of winter, it's not that cold. I mean, I know a lot of Queenslanders go, "Oh my gosh, it's freezing," but and in summer, you can't actually have a cold shower in Brisbane. You can't. The water's lukewarm in summer here because it gets too hot, right? But in Christchurch in New Zealand, I mean, during the middle of winter, mate, Dad would have a cold shower. He'd finish off, so he'd have a shower, and then literally for 30 seconds, he would turn off the hot water and he would just have a cold shower. Now, mind you, my dad was born in 1923, and I always considered that to be a bit crazy. But Steve, what are the benefits?
Boost your immune system. Your body reacts to cold by boosting immune system. And I didn't know this one, that it reacts within a month. So if you're exposed to a cold environment, and there's many reasons for this, vitamin D and enclosed rooms, you're more prone to get infections. And that's why you've heard of the winter flu season.
Yes.
And
I just thought it had to do with less sun, but...
It does. It has to do with less sun.
Okay.
It has to do with more closed windows, less people being outdoors. But one of the reasons is that cold, when you breathe cold in, it suppresses the lung immune response. So the body then goes, oh, that's bad. Quickly it expresses it. So then you boost the immune system, boosts up again. If you immerse yourself in cold water or, have a cold shower, the immune response is fired up thinking you're exposed to very cold weather. So it's reacting to you're in cold environment.
So realistically, if you're concerned about getting any type of flu, that you should probably finish off with a cold shower. Was there a particular time and a temperature?
Yeah, 14 degrees.
14 degrees?
14 degrees.
Okay.
They use that as a standard because after that point it starts to become dangerous.
Hypothermic?
Yeah.
Okay. You see these people up north, Scandinavia and...
Yes.
So they jump into the frigid ice water, Stephen. Literally, there's ice there. I mean, the temperature of the water must be only a couple of degrees above zero.
Maybe 1 degree. It wouldn't even... Because if it's immersed in water, like if there's ice surrounding it, the water's probably very close to zero.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'd be very cold. And if it's salt water, it could even be colder.
Well, they seem to swear by it. Now, apparently, not just for improving the immune system, Steve, but it does improve growth hormone production as well.
It improves growth hormone. It reduces plasma cortisol.
How much does it increase growth hormone?
It was 32%.
What? That's significant.
That's significant.
At 14 degrees?
Yeah, 14 degrees.
I'm going to bloody do it.
Well, why not? I mean, it reduces cortisol too, so it reduces that catabolic effect. It
reduces cortisol?
Yep. And
so we wake up first thing in the morning.
Yep.
Cortisol spikes.
Yep.
So does that make you sleepy though?
No, it doesn't. It wakes you. You know how the cold.
Because I was going to say, either a cold shower would be like bloody alert, but if it's reducing cortisol, how does it make you alert?
Well, here he goes. Plasma noradrenaline.
Hang on, Steve. I think you're so. Well, I'm so glad you asked you. And I generally don't know the answer.
You didn't know. That was a great segue.
It was. Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, did you know that if you have a 14-degree shower, plasma, noradrenaline, and dopamine, which are those woohoo focusy ones, were increased by 530 and by 250% respectively.
Bull crap! Are you serious?
That's published in the Human Physiological Response to Immersion. This was immersion.
So Dylan, our gamer, so we've got an esports gamer called Dylan, right, who plays FIFA. So Dylan, before you go and play your video game, before you go and play FIFA, go and have a freaking cold shower, mate. Your synapses are going to be, you're going to be firing on all cylinders.
Absolutely you are.
Wow. How long does it last?
Didn't say how long it lasts for, unfortunately.
3.2 seconds. Okay, well, I'm freaking not doing it then, Steve.
I mean, also, it increased diuresis by 89%.
Diuresis. What is diuresis?
Peeing out fluids.
Okay.
Because your metabolism fires up due to those norepinephrine, so you're making more water.
So therefore, let's say, for example, Steve, you had a toxin in your body. One of the best things you could go and do is have a cold shower. You know what? I watched this really cool show. So Tony and I watched Yellowstone, right, with Kevin Costner. There's a spin-off series called 1883.
Oh, right.
Now, I'm not going to give away the it's really good. I mean, I love those periodic shows, and it's kind of cool. And I'm not a huge fan of the whole agenda at the moment where if you're a white middle-aged male, you're scum. But it's good. There's a heroine in the series, and it's actually believable, and it's kind of cool. It's kind of not, but it kind of is. Anyway, it's worth watching. It's not one of those ones that makes me go, come on, stop shoving your woke crap down my throat. But anyway, it was good. And there's a thing there where this person gets injured, and the Indians take them into an icy river and say, we've got to do this to help to get the toxins out.
Yes.
I'm like, that would work, Steve.
It does. It also reduces inflammation. So, you put ice on a wound, you've probably seen that. It causes vasoconstriction, and, that's well known. So, not part of this, but it's quite incredible. Aldosterone range, diuresis, 89%. So, there's lots
of
benefits.
What's aldosterone do?
Aldosterone causes fluids to be retained or let go. Aldosterone spikes in the morning, and then if it's too low, you can get puffy ankles.
So if someone's got really puffy problem, and look, this is a really common thing, Steve, and get some celery seed and some juniper root or something like that. But having a cold bath or a cold shower. Would a cold bath be better because you're
absolutely.
If you can handle it. I mean, the nice thing about a cold shower is you can whack off, well, hang on. You can turn off. You can turn off.
We have to edit this.
You can turn off, Matt. You can turn off the hot water.
You can't whack it off when it's cold. I've tried.
Steve, I'm going to have to chat to you about this after this. Take out my one wood. And you can turn off the hot water, and then you can turn off the cold and you can get out. Whereas if you're in a bath, right, you sort of don't want to waste it.
Yeah, exactly. And you see the ice baths getting...
oh, Lord. No.
They're there for the hardcore people. But like a lot of the bodybuilders do that.
I'd like to be hardcore, Steve, but I'm more softcore.
Yeah, I know. Especially after the cold water.
The problem is, though, is if you're soft, everything in life is hard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, it's really interesting that this cold thing, I think it's a little bit underutilised. I mean, cortisol, dopamine, norepinephrine, these are all very interesting chemicals, well researched. So if you can improve all those by just having a cold shower.
Oh, okay.
So cold showers are good if you can tolerate them and you don't get hypothermia, really. That's the take-home. I mean, if you're going to get sick because you're going to do them or you're not up to it, but if you're up to it, do it, I reckon.
I always joke that Tony's part lizard. I mean, I grew up in Christchurch in New Zealand, and I love the colder weather. I love winter. Yeah. And Tony, on the other hand, I think seriously was born on the equator, because the warmer it gets, the faster she moves. I reckon if she had a cold shower like this, literally she would probably, she would stop moving.
It's not for everyone, but it's an option.
Yeah.
It's an option. It really is an option. It's like a lot of these things. Fasted cardio may not be for you, but it's better than, if you say, I can't do it then. Well, no, eat something then. If you have to eat something, as long as you get the exercise done.
So growth hormone, improve immune system, reduce cortisol. Dopamine, you've synapses, you're going to be great thing. So if you can do it, do it. 14 degrees.
That was the temperature
that's not that cold, Steve.
No, not compared to Christchurch cold.
No. I mean, seriously, I reckon the temperature of the water, and it'd be interesting if we've got any Kiwi fans in Christchurch. Actually, I should get Matt to do it, but Matt Wally. But jump in there, throw a thermometer into the water, and tell us what the temperature of the water is right now, because it's winter in New Zealand now. So
there's one weakness of the study that the way they monitored the temperature of the people was they put a thermometer up their rectum, and they said that could alter some of the neurochemicals. I don't know how to comment on that. That was a weakness of the study. So,
why can't they just do it in the mouth, Steve? Like seriously?
Because it's probably going to get wet or something. They did it up the rectum.
It doesn't get wet up your rectum?
Well, they just use rectal thermometers.
I think there's somebody having. I reckon. Oh my gosh! Just you know what? If you're going to undertake any of these studies, just ask. Question everything, Steve. That's what I say.
Everything.
Question everything. All right.
So, that was an interesting one too.
All right.
So get the cold showers into you. But if you haven't got a cold shower, what you can do at the moment.
You can run outside
because it's raining.
I don't know. It is raining cats and dogs.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know where that came from, but So if you're picking up some background noise at the moment in Queensland, where we are at the moment, we've got La Nina. And
the little girl, it's a translation from Spanish.
Oh.
Did you know that?
No.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know why they call all this rain La Nina, because we have El Nino as well too. So over the other side, where we are in Australia, directly, forget about New Zealand. Everybody does. I'm just kidding. I'm from New Zealand. But South America, right? So the temperature of the sea warms up and or cools, and depending on whether it's warming or cooling, depends on how much rain we get here in Australia.
Correct.
And I remember. Actually, I was talking to someone this morning when I was walking the dog and just saying this wet weather is insane. Literally, for 2 weeks, it looks like we're going to have rain, pretty much on and off. What I mean by on and off is every hour or so it's going to be dumping a night, and it's pouring down outside at the moment. Yeah. But, funnily enough, unfortunately, we're going through La Nina as opposed to El Nino. I remember El Nino, I think for 3 or 4 years, we literally had only a couple of rain days here in Queensland. Do you remember that? And all the dams ran dry. And,
Yep. Not a problem there. Well, El Nino, if those, for the La Nina, the little girl, the reason why that's a problem is because we have pressure differentiators over Darwin, where they measure it, compared to the ocean where you are. Now, if there's low pressure a lot over Darwin at the moment, the airflow sucks all that hot, sort of steamy air from the Pacific and dumps it onto the eastern seaboard of Australia. So that's why we have a lot of rain at the moment. Mm-hmm. La Nina, the opposite is when it pushes it away.
I'm going to do a throw out to Jamie Dunn here. But do you remember hectopascal?
Yes.
That would not be allowed nowadays, would it?
Oh, no.
So this was basically a guy that was, he had as a bit of a, I think they'd call it a fop, Steve.
Yes.
Just a very flowery, flouncy sort of a guy. It's funny what we used to find funny, and we're not allowed to find funny anymore.
Not allowed to find that funny. Oh, I
think you could though. Like, I don't know. I think
he was great.
The funny thing is that people of that persuasion probably would find that funny, but it's people on their behalf that would probably get offended, right?
Of course, like Rodney Roode. Remember him? Superstar in the 80s. I mean, you can't say that stuff anymore.
No.
I can't even repeat one of his gags.
No.
It would be off. I mean, he's all the time.
Yep.
Very, very...
A very different world, Steve. Anyway, so in terms of... That's the cold shower. So
yes.
Does apple cider vinegar do any good?
Well, yes.
Okay.
That's the quick.
That was something that my mum and dad, cod liver oil and apple cider vinegar, they used to suck it down like it was going out of fashion, which is disgusting.
Cod liver oil? Yeah, on the teaspoon. Now we've got capsules. It's rich in vitamin A and D.
That's cod liver oil?
Yep.
Okay.
So that's good for you.
All right, cool.
No real debate.
All right. Throw that out.
Apple cider vinegar is interesting because people used to take that for digestion, and now they don't because they found other things for it. Now
like bromelain.
Yeah,
papain.
It's got all sorts of things.
However you want to say it, from papaya.
Papaya. And pineapple too has got the bromelain.
Yeah, bromelain, yeah.
So this one, this is from a system review of meta-analysis. It's called The Effects of Apple Cider Vinegar on Lipid Profiles and Glycemic Parameters. So fats and sugars in the blood.
Yep.
That's what it means.
Lay it on me, Steve. Yes or no? Do I want to do it?
We found favourable effects of apple cider vinegar consumption on the blood sugar levels and the blood fat levels. So it reduces cholesterol and it helps reduce blood sugar levels.
Okay.
Do you want to know how?
Yeah.
All right. It's really interesting because you've got to remember that the apple cider vinegar is called acetic acid.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now, that means it hasn't got acetone in it, but acetic acid is one of the short-chain fatty acids made by the gut. Okay? So if you eat a healthy fibrous diet, you'll make butyric acid, propanoic acid, and acetic acid. And they're very beneficial for going throughout the body and having all these effects on all these metabolism things. So it ramps up your metabolism by having all this acetic acid, which, of course, burns all the fat and burns all the sugar.
So, Steve, but why do you want to supplement with that as opposed to get your gut to make it?
Oh, you want your gut to make it.
But then what's the bit? Because, I mean, it's like anything, right? I mean, if you're taking something, then it can stop the body from doing it. Like, for example, you mentioned before about bromelain. Bromelain is a great digestive enzyme if you've got problems, and it can help, especially if you've got meat that you want to digest. I mean, even people will tenderize meat and bromelain, like pineapple juice and all the rest of it, right? But surely you want a strong digestive system that does it, because if you keep giving it a crutch, then it's going to become lazy.
Yeah, it does.
So then, and I don't know the answer to this, but then why is taking apple cider vinegar a good thing long term? Is it something you should do short term, or is it? Yeah,
it's a good question. Firstly, long term, it's bad because it erodes your teeth. It's a very strong acid.
Okay,
so. I mean, all right, but let's say...
But what happens if you were going to take apple cider vinegar, let's say you drink it or you have some, you should immediately then, maybe have some water and then go brush your teeth and then go to work, right?
Correct, yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't brush your teeth after having any acidic drink because the enamel's weaken and the brushing, the corrosion of it can also affect
Good one,
the enamel.
Steve-o. I actually damaged the enamel on my teeth when I was young because I brushed them too hard. So, yeah.
Oh, we all did back in those days.
Yeah.
So why would you want to take this? If you wanted to reduce your cholesterol or reduce your blood sugar levels and the alternate was medications.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
Then this could be a great way to start.
Okay.
I'm with you. I'd rather just say, no, we're going to eat the apple, we're going to make the acetic acid, and we're going to eat healthy so we don't have cholesterol.
So when you eat apples, would your body produce this...
Acetic acid, yeah.
So then why not just eat an apple then?
Well, you would.
But what is the benefit of having apple cider vinegar over eating an apple?
Well, not really anything. Because apple cider vinegar has these tested effects, but so does apples. You notice how apples reduce your cholesterol? You've ever heard that?
No, I haven't.
Or fruits and vegetables?
Oh, sure, yeah, okay.
One of the reasons is because
fibre
the acetic
binding,
acid
but yeah.
and the fibre binding.
Yeah.
So you get the double benefit of eating apples. So I'd rather eat fruits and vegetables.
Bloody oath, it's far more tasty, and you're getting the fibre and you're getting the vitamins and the minerals. I mean, again, going back to that sort of, first sort of conversation that we're having, Steve. I mean, again, that old adage, and it's it's a truism, I guess you could say, is an apple a day keeps the doctor away. So long as it's not a genetically modified apple sprayed with Monsanto bug killer pesticides, and but outside of that, fresh local fruit that's in season, that's organic. And again, it's funny, organic. It's just like, no, it's just the way that our forebears used to eat.
Yes.
Organic was everything back then. It's like now it's become something special and expensive. It's thousands of years we've eaten organic.
Yeah.
And now it's considered to be, that's unnatural.
It is unnatural.
So that's so weird.
I know.
Oh, you're so weird that you like things natural.
There is another option. Okay, and that's having frozen vegetables and fruit.
Sure, if they're snap frozen and if they're done in a way that doesn't use gases and chemicals that are negative, for sure.
Because that was another one of our questions.
Oh.
That was
Where?
One about... maybe I didn't write it on there.
No, I was going to say, I don't think you did.
One of the... I left that one off. There was another question that came in about actually having frozen fruits and vegetables. Are they any better or worse?
Well, I think it depends. It depends on the process that's used. It depends on... it depends on the starting material. I mean, Steve, you know this. I don't. I'm just theorising, right? You correct me where I'm wrong, all right? Okay. Don't correct me in front of people, Steve. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I think obviously it starts in the starting material. Was it picked ripe? And this is where I've heard, and it'd be interesting to hear your take on this, Steve, is if it's picked in season and fully ripened and then... snap frozen, it's actually better than a lot of the food that you can get, which is picked green, gas ripened, sometimes put in storage for ages, right? Then sort of wheeled out, looking beautiful, but actually it's kind of like, it's that old saying, he or she, so I'm not being sexist, is, what is it? Good from far, but far from good.
Oh, yeah.
You like that?
That's a good saying.
Yeah, that's what people used to say about you, Steve. He's a hot-looking guy. Get up. Oh, no.
From a long way.
Maybe.
Telescope.
New South Wales. Maybe satellite. Sort of. Yeah, and then they get up close and they're like, gnaw your arm off to.
That's right. That's a Rodney Root joke.
Has Beck got any arms left? She's nibbled off her toes.
She's long.
Yeah, no, poor thing. She's just a little.
Poor thing.
She just bobs along now.
Yeah, she's quite armless at the moment.
Oh,
clean joke.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. But I think so. Coming back to the food, I think if it's picked ripe and it's snap frozen without using the use of any sort of chemicals that are bad for it, I think it's actually good, Steve.
It's exactly what the vitamin retention in 8 fruits and vegetables, a comparison of refrigerated frozen storage study said.
Wow.
That's exactly what it said. But you've summarised the whole thing. They went a bit further because they measured...
See, I'm not an idiot.
No, they measured 3 components of the vegetable and fruit, which I found to be... Firstly, the minerals, the vitamins, and then they called them the polyphenols. We'll just call them polyphenols.
Well, Steve, we love polyphenols.
We love polyphenols. So we'll start with them. Basically, polyphenols were basically all gone after about 10 days. Unless you froze them, they lasted up to 90 days.
Okay. What would be interesting, I guess, Steve, is that and I guess it's the devil in the detail, right? I mean, obviously, with the way that things work through, grocery channels and shipping and storage and all the rest of it is that 90 days is pretty short term, really. I mean, some of these things could be in storage, and I don't know. I actually don't know, with fruits and vegetables and all the rest of it, how long they're snap frozen, and how long it takes them to go from paddock to plate. I don't know.
Good question.
Do you know?
It could be up to a year.
Yeah, that's right. So you would lose that. And this is the whole thing around this gas ripening. I mean, and there was a big controversy on apples. Do you remember that, Steve?
Yes.
Where they had the apples, they were picked the season before. They then put them into these massive storage areas, and then they bring them out through the year. And the apples that you are eating could be up to nearly 12 months old. Absolutely. And so the polyphenols, are you saying that the polyphenols are gone?
They're gone. They're gone in those. Yeah, absolutely. After a year, unless they're frozen, and then
you must eat them within 90 days, though.
Well, that's what the study went up to. They still were there at 90 days.
Okay, well that's good.
Yeah. So
actually, it sounds really counterintuitive.
Yeah.
But I guess in today's modern society, if you can't go to the local market and eat fresh and local, maybe have a look at incorporating some of the frozen fruits and vegetables into your maybe your smoothies, or
It's not bad because so the three things, the polyphenols was one. Now the vitamins were better preserved in the frozen ones, because there was some that were oxidised. Now, if it's in a bag and frozen like they traditionally are, then the antioxidants preserved. The minerals are the same across the board.
Okay.
Because they don't get destroyed unless you're Albert Einstein and split an atom.
No.
You can't destroy minerals.
Yeah.
But you got to remember also, after about 10 days, if the vegetables picked and put in the fridge, it's probably throwing out time.
Yeah.
So frozen vegetables typically last, I'll say, forever, but like for months anyway.
But with fruit, they seem to be able to store it. Do they do the same thing with I couldn't imagine they could, right? Because celery and stuff would wilt. But can they? Do you know? I don't know.
They can freeze celery.
No, but do they store... You know how they store apples? They pick them, sort of greenish, and then they gas ripe, and they kind of put them in stasis almost, right?
Do, yeah.
We should probably do some more research on this.
Celery.
I don't think they could.
No, you can freeze it. But
no, but I mean, again, I always look at broccoli and cauliflower and the cabbage moth and all that sort of stuff. The amount of pesticide that goes onto those things is horrible. So again, you want to eat that fresh and local anyway, which is going to be higher in the polyphenols and higher in the vitamins and the minerals anyway. Again, if you can.
Yes, if you can. The other trick that I used to have, and this is more of a practical problem, is that people would go, I didn't get time to go vegetable shopping, so I just had steak, or I didn't eat vegetables, or I had junk food or pasta or whatever. If you've got a frozen bag of vegetables, just 400 grams, or a pound if you're for the American people, and you just put them in a steamer. I mean, you keep them in the freezer, or and you can just steam them up and have them for dinner. Really quick stuff. It becomes like a fast food that's kind of healthy.
Yeah.
So that's a good backup. Yeah. I mean, eat market, fresh, organic, all this sort of stuff. But the frozen thing is a convenient thing that will not, deprive you of anything.
I think this is what we talk a lot to people, and they say, you must do this and you must do that. And I agree, you must make it a priority, where you can, but progress, not perfection, is something that I'm saying a lot. And a lot of people beat themselves up because it's like, well, I don't know where a local market is, and I hate to say this, a lot of people say, well, I can't afford it. Yeah. With the supply chain issues at the moment as well too, and what's going on, sometimes it's just not available. So, again, it's trying to make the best decisions, based on your current needs and where you are. And you can overcome some of the bad stuff, by focusing on where you can get quality nutrition, fresh, that's where to do it. I mean, again, I'm a huge fan of pomegranates. Whenever they're in season, man, I'm sucking those things down like no tomorrow. And that's because we've got a history of heart disease in our family, and I like the idea of the pomegranate fresh and as much as I can. So, yeah.
No, it's good, and so that was the story about that one. You nailed it perfectly. So that's that one. The only other thing, they measured the ORAC capacity of them,
which is the
oxidative radical absorption capacity.
Yep.
And they found
the higher the better.
The frozen ones were slightly higher.
Okay.
So, but they compared it to a week-old vegetable in this other study.
Okay.
So
yeah, it might be. I mean, again, Steve.
How long does it take to
fresh
get them?
is best. Yes. I mean, if you can pick the apple off the tree, that's obviously
way
best.
better.
Yep. Okay, let's get back in the shower, Steve.
Of course, why not?
Exfoliation pre-shower.
I'm going to quote Dr. Doug on this one.
Well, we did a podcast with him, and he loves exfoliation, doesn't he?
I know, and he would know. Because I mean, and exfoliation.
And just for those who don't know who Dr. Doug is, really quickly.
Oh, my father-in-law, but
and
also
what does he do?
He's a cosmetic doctor.
Yep.
And has been a doctor for over 50 years. So he knows what he's talking about, but he mainly does cosmetics now and he does surgeries. So he does, Botoxy stuff and he does surgery. So, but basically when you exfoliate, you actually stimulate, I'll call it trauma, but it sounds bad.
No, I understand what you're saying.
But mild
it's
trauma.
the same thing as working out in the gym. You're creating mild trauma.
Yeah,
but you build more muscle. Yep.
So if you're having enough hydroxyproline in your diet or collagens in your diet, you can actually make more collagen quite quickly.
Yeah.
So having something that will help make the collagen faster with lots of glycine, all that sort of thing, arginine, and exfoliating together, you will get a much better response.
This is where I really like the microdermabrasion and they put these little scrubbers on your face. They have to be careful around certain areas. Yeah. But when I had really, really bad skin, I went and got that done. And Steve, it's just like microneedling, if that makes sense.
Very good.
Made such a huge impact on my skin. I had a very, very bad scarring from cancer treatment that I had over my face, and so got quite bad scarring. Yeah. And the microneedling helped to break down the scarring, increase the collagen, which reduced the effects, which is great. And so for anyone who's out there who's looking for that, I don't see that as being about, and it's very different from, and again, I know Doug's talking about Botox and all the rest of it, but the microneedling, the dermabrasion actually I think can work because it helps with the body to release more collagen. But a very simplistic thing of that is to get a natural scrub, but also get a like a loofah, or you can get these microfiber sort of cloths now as well too, like loofah sort of cloths, and use that and be careful in the sensitive areas, but give it a relatively good rub. That's going to exfoliate the dead skin and actually renew new growth. Now, what's really funny is that most women are sitting there probably going, well, duh.
Yeah.
But for a lot of guys out there, and maybe for some females that don't know, that's one of the best things that you can do. And Doug was talking about the creping on his skin. You see older people and the skin, and he goes, it becomes brittle, it becomes more porous, it becomes more susceptible to breakage. And if you want to inhibit that, and this is what Doug said in the podcast, is that he did it every day for, was it a month or so?
Yeah, a month.
And he said that the thickness and the toughness and the vitality of his skin improved dramatically.
Very much so.
Now, yes, it looks better. And I think we always are attracted to things that look good because we see them as being healthy.
Yeah.
So his skin was healthier.
It was, and I doesn't mind me saying he's over 70, so he's not young anymore.
Yep.
So great. It's a really good thing to do. So get into it.
Yep.
That's what I think is a bit
so
over that.
Why is this person saying pre-shower, Steve, as opposed to in the shower?
Because, well, you can do it in the shower. You do a pre-shower, get in the shower, and then you rinse all the dead skin off, basically.
But can't you do it while the water's running over you? But is there a benefit to doing it pre-shower?
It creates slightly more trauma, less friction. So that's what you want.
There's a fraction too much friction.
Yes. Do you know what? Great Kiwi song.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah,
the precursor to Crowded House. Can you name the band?
Split Ends.
Can you name the singer?
Tom Fun.
No, Tim.
Yeah,
I think it was both actually.
Yeah.
Yep. Tim Finn.
You like the accent I put on then too?
Tom Fun. Let's go down the shops and have a nice glass of milk, and let's get some fish and chops.
And put them on the chili bun.
Put the chili bun. Yeah.
Hey, I can speak another language.
Kiwi accent is funny because I hear them on. I was watching the show, the science fiction one. With the guy from *Halt and Catch Fire*. What was that show? And it had the Kiwi girl who was the main protagonist. Oh, well, she was the main sort of character in the show, and she had a Kiwi accent, and it just stands out like dog's balls. And it's really funny because my wife can't stand Kiwi accents.
Oh, can't she?
No, but the rest of the world loves us. Now, I don't have a particularly strong... A lot of people think I'm English.
Do they?
Well, non-Australian people, when I go to other parts of the world, they're like, So, no, I'm Kiwi. So, yeah, I'm Kiwi. If I go back to New Zealand, my accent becomes stronger.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Kiwi accent, it's such a shame because so many people think it's such a sexy accent, and my wife doesn't like it at all. Isn't that funny?
No.
All right, so where are we going here? Exfoliation pre-shower. Does doing a juice cleanse work? Now, friend of mine, what?
I was going to answer the question then, but that's right. You go. Tell us about your friend.
Well, yeah, I had a friend of mine. Now, again, this is a really lay person, right, who was sort of introduced to the industry, and there was a documentary that came out, Stephen. You looked it up because I couldn't remember the name of it. It was Juice, Nearly Dead.
Yeah, Nearly Dead.
What's it called? Nearly
Fat
Dead.
40 and Nearly Dead.
Yeah, and I think most people call it Nearly Dead, and I think there's a Nearly Dead too.
Yeah.
And it follows the exploits of a guy who was really unhealthy.
Yep.
And and he went on this juice fast. I'm always wary of an extreme diet where it eliminates large things. I mean, I like keto, but even for a period of time, and I recommend that if you're doing keto, you do the cyclic one where you incorporate fruits back in on a weekend to get the fiber and all the rest of it. But for short periods of time, these kind of extreme things can work and they're okay. The guy that did the potato diet for a year, he only ate potatoes for a year, right? It's funny. I was listening to an interview from Elon Musk's former girlfriend or wife, I think they're split now, and she only ate pasta for a year, and her hair started falling out because she wasn't getting any minerals, right? And she's really bizarre. But she was saying that she doesn't eat fruit or vegetables at all. I don't know if you've ever listened to an interview with her. She's a strange cat. She seems like she's about 13 or 14. Like she sort of speaks kind of funny, but I mean, like these extreme diets where you're missing out large groups, especially where you're missing out fruits and vegetables. Yeah. It's just bizarre. It is weird. I mean, and I say that with all love for keto, and again with modern, you can obviously overcome some of the deficiencies with vitamins and minerals and multivitamins and what have you. But anyway, having said this juice cleanse sort of went on the other end. It was just juice, and it was all juicing, and I think there was not a lot of sugar, so they weren't over-indexing on fruits. I think they were trying to use more things like celery and kale, and you've got to be careful of juicing too much kale, by the way, again, your thyroid, and people don't know that, because you can actually cause goiters and stuff like that, because it actually... That's right. So, but having said that, this guy lost a ton of weight.
Sure. And
improved heaps. It's pretty easy to do that, though, if you go down from sucking down burgers and fast food and, really high sugary foods. Even if you didn't do that, even if you just... So I don't know, Steve, if it was by... Just because they changed they removed the bad intake of food, if they actually got a benefit from it. I'm not saying that juicing isn't good. In fact, I've got Tony and I invested in a cold press juicer, and if you're going to juice, don't use the centrifugal force one that uses heat, because and if you look at orange juice, carrot juice, for example, or even apple juice, it separates. If it's separating, it's bad because you've actually oxidized a lot of the nutrients. If it's cold pressed, you're actually getting most of that, and you can actually get one. I forget the brand that we got, but so I'm not against juicing, but. Okay, that's my 50 cents. But what's your opinion, Steve, and what's the science?
Okay, so the science is, have you heard of an essential carbohydrate? We haven't, have we? There's no such thing. Essential amino acids?
Sure.
And an essential fats?
Sure.
Yeah. There's not many fats or proteins in juice.
No.
So you're going to be missing out on essential nutrients.
Yeah.
Proteins and fats. To start with. The second thing is, just look at juicing itself. What are you removing when you take your... whatever apple? You're removing the fibre.
Yeah.
What's wrong with the fibre?
Oh, fiber's, pectin, soluble fibre, insoluble fibre, gut, scrubbing out the bowel, feeding the good bacteria in your gut. I mean, there's so much.
Yeah, so why would you remove it? Throw it in the bin.
Exactly. I completely concur.
It doesn't make a lot of sense. Now let's talk about it
And there's something else as well, too, that you're removing out of this diet. Essential taste.
Yes.
Sorry. Yeah, okay, that's not essential.
I mean...
It's conditionally essential.
We look at one metric, which is weight. And if you want to lose weight, lop off a leg. You'll lose weight.
True.
You okay?
Yep.
So it doesn't mean that this means it's healthy if you lose weight. Not necessarily. People who starve lose weight. And so... yes, you get a lot of vitamins and you probably get a lot of minerals, but people just look at numbers like that. They don't look at the big picture. Like, firstly, why are you removing the fibre? Why don't you just eat the whole bloody plant? The whole apple.
I know. Yeah, I agree. I agree. And I've even heard people go, so what you do, you get a cold... Okay. So if you're going to do this as healthy as possible, and I always say at the end of this, why then?
Yeah.
Like, right. But what you do is you cold press the juice. You take some of the fiber, you put it back in, and then you put in, collagen protein, or you put in a full spectrum amino acid, sort of stuff as well too. Okay, you could do that, and it's probably a hell of a lot better for you.
Yep. Then you're getting back to just a normal diet. You put in some essential fats too to stimulate the
of course,
gallbladder.
Steve. Sorry, I forgot fats.
So you're sort of coming back to like a healthy...
I mean, again, if you want really good plant-based essential fats, we've got a plant-based omega formulation, which is brilliant. So, and again, so I'm not saying that you can't. Some people might do it for convenience. The other thing I was going to say, Steve, as soon as you, even with cold-pressed juice and all the rest of it, as soon as you do it, my mum used to say, and I don't know where this came from, right? This is one of the kind of these things that you kind of grow up with, and you don't question it, and so then you sort of leave it. But once you press juice, that you've only got a very short period of time that you have to eat it. Otherwise, she used to say it would go carcinogenic. Now, it's not carcinogenic, but obviously it would lose a lot of its nutrients, right?
Of course it does, because things aren't supposed to be exposed to the air. Like you think of a skin of an apple, and there's stuff in there that if you cut it, it turns brown.
Yeah. Maillard.
What is that?
Maillard
reaction.
Yeah.
But it's sort of like things change as soon as it's exposed to air.
When it goes brown, is it dead? Like, what's going on?
It just means that there's an enzymatic reaction, usually the Maillard reaction, which turns the sugars a bit funny, we'll call it. They glycate with some of the proteins and amino acids.
What does it mean for you? If you ate lots of this brown stuff, let's say if you shaved then the apple and you only ate the brown stuff, what are you getting?
Well, you probably get what they call advanced glycosylated end products.
And what does that do?
That causes nasty things in the body.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right.
If you have too much of it.
I mean, again, it doesn't look at oh, look, there's a nice brown apple. It's like, no. There's a nice, crisp, clean, beautiful, fresh apple. That's appealing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you don't go, oh, look at this.
Oh, it's appealing. That's a good gag. How did you get that one in there?
I didn't even mean it, Steve.
Oh,
That's
okay.
just how good I am.
But, look, you've got to look up, if you want to look up glycation and advanced glycosylated end products, and they form RAGEs, which is radical advanced glycosylated end products. So it causes free radicals.
Wow.
Yeah, RAGEs.
So it actually has the opposite of effect of what you'd expect from eating fruit, which is antioxidants.
Well, yeah, it's a pro-oxidant. It becomes a pro-oxidant.
Funny, isn't it?
Yeah, so I mean, how long?
You can't mess with nature, Steve.
You can't just eat the whole damn apple.
Yeah.
So juice fasting for detox is a terrible idea. We used to promote it in the 90s. And because
you should be ashamed, Steve.
I should be. We used to do some terrible things. But firstly, the fibre helps your bowels move, which is where most of your SHIT comes out into the toilet. That's a great detox thing. You're removing it.
You're binding it, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yep.
You're not taking any fats, so if you're having a juice fast that we used to prescribe, so the gallbladder doesn't stimulate.
How did you used to recommend that as a naturopath, Steve?
Because it was all hearsay and conjecture.
Oh.
We wanted to give the digestive system a rest. That was our logic.
Why?
No, it's just what was thought.
You know what you should do, Steve? You should give your heart a rest. I mean, it's so busy pumping, think about it when you're born, just give it a rest for, just a couple of months.
Yep.
It just needs a little bit of time off. Just stop it.
Yep.
Where is the mad? You know what? I can just see
sense.
some quack sitting there going, we need to give the digestive system a rest because that's natural.
Oh, that was a very commonly spoken thing. And naturopathy has evolved since then.
It's like saying let's give the sea a bit of a rest from making all these waves.
Yeah,
it's not natural.
Oh, we used to put people on water fasts to give the body a rest. It was just
how dumb is dumb?
That's dumb. And we used to think that the liver can get now a chance to detoxify, and it's like now we know how the liver works. It needs amino acids to stick the toxins through.
So, juice cleans, no.
Don't do it. It doesn't work. I mean, it doesn't make sense on so many levels.
Yeah.
That when we started figuring this all out about amino acids and fats, and we used to start adding these concoctions back, and it all became just like a healthy diet.
Well, exactly right. And not only that. Okay, so let's say, for example, someone's going, okay, well, Jeff said if we use a cold press juicer, which I like, by the way, and look, I love it from time to time, having a nice juice, and you get lots of nutrients in there, and that's cool. Yeah. But you have that juice. You add in some omega oils, like our plant-based omegas or something like that. Then you add in some collagen or some aminos, some plant-based. If you want to go plant-based, you can use our plant-based aminos or Zeus juice. Now we've got Zeus juice, which is all plant-based, right? Yep. So you've got completely plant-based. You've got all your amino. You've even got hydroxyproline in the Zeus juice as well too. Yeah. So you're fine. Mm-hmm. Do you know one thing that you're missing?
What?
So you've got all your aminos,
Yeah.
you've got all your plants, you've got your vitamins, you've got your essential fats. Do you know what you're missing?
Fibre, have you got the fibre?
No, you got fibre. And you put the fibre back in there.
Okay.
What are you missing?
I don't know. What are you missing?
Mastication.
Oh, mastication.
Yeah,
Careful you say that.
Yeah,
We'll get in
because
trouble for that.
you got to think about it, Steve, as well too.
Yeah.
You are missing that. The whole thing about humans is we have a jaw and we have teeth to eat, right?
Yes.
So we chew.
Yeah.
What does that do?
We've released all the enzymes.
Saliva. Yeah, exactly right.
Amylases.
I mean, and that then
Lipase.
obviously works with your gut
Yep.
to obviously break this down to make sure we get everything. When you're just drinking, you're not engaging much of that at all, Steve. Right?
So you're telling people you've got to go home and masticate.
I recommend mastication 3 times a day at least.
Yeah.
So, but it's really important that people do it, Steve.
Yes.
But if you're drinking your food, you're not.
You're not masticating.
It's funny because a friend of mine, lawyer friend of mine, went on a diet where he was just having 3 protein, a VLCD, which is a very low calorie diet, and he was drinking 3 shakes a day. And I think he got 1 or 2 bars a day that he had to eat, right? So the only chewing that he was actually doing was on these bars, which he said tasted like cardboard. Which is hilarious.
Yeah.
We sell protein shakes.
Yes.
We are now, and we're about to sell the world's best bar, according to me. I put that with a little asterisk and say according to me, but according to a lot of other people as well too.
Yeah.
5 years in the making, Steve. Just no sweat.
Awesome.
It was easy.
Can't wait.
It's like
Yeah,
just to walk
Machines
off the
are cheap. Yeah.
$10 million. Don't worry about it.
No.
But I would never ever recommend that. We always say, and again, this is the thing, guys, and hopefully this is why it comes through because we're authentic. We're never trying just to sell you crap. Fresh is best. Food is best. Eat fresh, eat local, eat plenty of it. Avoid as many of the chemicals as possible, and you use supplementations to add to your diet if you're trying to achieve something specific, whether it be performance or maybe there's something that's missing. You're seeing that there's something that's missing in your diet. This is why we did the plant-based omegas.
Yes,
because we recognised that we didn't want to fish the seas out for a start. Secondly, a lot of the fish oils that are out there are rancid. They're rancid, Steve, and they're not good for you. So everything that we try and do natural, but it's always an aid to your diet. It's never to replace these diets that people do where they're just holus bolus. Oh, well, let's replace lunch with a shake. No, I mean if you had to and you're in a hurry and you were between meetings, and I've done it, Steve, as well. Grab a shake and great, fine. But that's not the way that we're designed.
Not the way to live. No, and also, I mean, it's never going to be. You're never going to get everything. All the polyphenols and all. You might look at it. It's got a multivitamin in it.
Oh, brilliant! Yep, but great.
It's all the stuff that you're missing.
But even within food, Steve, we say variety. I mean, if you're eating, capsicum or peppers, whatever. If you're coming from America, great. Then go for the yellow one, go for the green one, go for the the red, the purple one, whatever you want to get, and then go for your my favourite apple, Steve, is the Jazz apple. I love them. They're one of my favourite. They're beautiful because they're tangy. But then go for a Granny Smith, go for a Red Delicious. I mean, have the variety as they call, Steve, as the spice of life.
Absolutely,
and absolutely with food as well too. And this is where you want to be giving your body something different all the time where you possibly can.
Absolutely. Yep. I think that's a great way to wrap it up. Is get the food into your body first.
Yep.
Supplements to supplement a healthy diet.
Cool. Well, look, everyone, thanks so much for writing these questions.
Great questions.
We've got the asking for a friend 2 coming again. Very, very frank.
Yeah.
I'll be frank, you be earnest.
Yeah.
Discussion, which is a little blush-worthy for some people.
Trigger warning.
Maybe don't listen to this at your desk at work.
Out loud.
Yeah, because people are going to be. Yeah, that's right. Most people are sort of wearing, Yes. But yeah, it's going to be confronting.
I know. We don't just get questions about mastication on that one either. We
Very,
get all sorts of
very hairy, Steve. So
Sorry.
I think we, that's coming. Anyway, Steve, thank you.
All right, thank you.
I'm off to play golf.
Woo.
And
lovely weather for it.
yeah, and that's a one wood joke. Anyway, yeah, probably wasn't really that funny. Anyway, we'll be back next week with some more. So thanks so much for listening.
See you next week.
Bye.